What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Kingdom Crew podcast. My name is Josh Fann of ShowMeFootball.com and ArrowheadAddict.com. And today I'm joined by my co-host, as always, Michael D'Arcy of KC Sports Report and Bleacher Report. And Michael, we're finally back together doing another episode. It's been a little bit. We've both been pretty busy over the last few weeks, but it's nice to be able to get together with you again and talk some football. I feel like we got some catching up to do. We'll definitely preview Chiefs versus Bills, but how have you been, man?
I've been fantastic. There's been some stuff going on behind the scenes with some potential legal trouble, but last week I had the privilege of going out to Arizona to broadcast that Chiefs and Dolphins game on Bleacher Report. It was on the Bleacher Report mobile app, so I had a blast out there in Scottsdale, Arizona. But Josh, I'm ready for this game tomorrow. I have been waiting to play Buffalo again. The Chiefs played Buffalo a couple months ago. Actually, I don't even think it was a couple months ago. It was like a month ago. And they lost just by the thinnest of margins. The Chiefs are going to Buffalo. It's Patrick Mahomes' first road game. I'm really excited to see what this team can do. And honestly, I think the Buffalo Bills might be on upset alert.
Yeah, man, I'm feeling pretty good about that matchup. A lot better than I did maybe even just a week ago. I know I said that to you before we started recording. But I'm going to go back a little bit because you got to do the Bleacher Report thing out in Arizona for the Chiefs Dolphins watch party. That was really cool. So I just want to talk to or have you talk a little bit about that to the people listening, because that was kind of your first like really big thing with Bleacher Report that you did. How was that whole experience, man? Because like I watched a little bit of that. You guys had a nice venue and everything. I mean, that little score bug at the bottom of the screen, like you're big time now.
Sure. So funny enough, on Monday, the Monday before that game, I had my wisdom teeth taken out. And I was down for the count. And then Wednesday, I checked my email, and my boss at Bleacher Report is like, hey, like, what's the possibility that you could make it down to Scottsdale this Saturday for the game? My face is swollen. Like I got ice packs on my face, and I'm like, oh, I'm going. Like I'll be there.
Yeah.
And so I really didn't recover. I hadn't eaten solid food until actually after the live stream. So I was running on adrenaline and like Ensure shakes, but I was able to get down to Arizona, and it was really cool. Very professional setup. I'd never been on a like TV set like that, but they had a whole production crew. We sat down, like there's lighting and everything, really expensive television cameras. We had producers, directors. We had a production manager on set that was able to like get us stuff if we needed. It was a really cool first experience. And I think the show went well. Obviously, there was some stuff that, we can always look at to say we could do better. But overall, first experience, it was really cool.
Dude, to be live for an entire football game, have no breaks, and just like trying to find something to talk about for the whole 3-4 hours, however long it was, like I don't feel like people realize how hard that is, because it's not quite like you're Mitch Holtis and you're commentating on the game, which is a whole nother beast, but still it's extremely difficult to go up there and know what to say for 3-4 hours and keep the fans engaged and stuff like that. So no, a lot of respect for going out there and doing that.
I appreciate it. Yeah, a lot of it's just bringing up some of the storylines that we've been talking about all season long. And we were kind of reacting to the game, but when we had so much going on, the only thing that was kind of, I guess, unfortunate is we didn't have earpieces listening to the game itself. So a lot of the time we were guessing on some of the stuff that happened or flag calls. And it was kind of like, oh, I think it's offsides. I think it's encroachment, but like we didn't really know. And so we were kind of just doing our best at guessing what happened. And, like the Mahomes helmet thing, at first I thought it was like a leaf. I don't know what my brain thought it was, but I thought it was like a leaf or some piece of debris. And then I was like, wait a minute, his helmet's cracked. And so like finding out stuff like that, a little bit later, reacting to it. No, it was super fun. Hopefully I get the opportunity to do that again, because it was just a blast.
Yeah, I bet. And not only that, but I want to talk about the actual game just a little bit, since we didn't talk about that. We didn't preview that. And I feel like we got to talk about that before we kind of transition into previewing Bills versus Chiefs, because this was a big game for the Chiefs, man. Like a lot of people didn't know what to think about this team heading into the postseason. Could they beat the Miami Dolphins? I know a lot of people were down on the Miami Dolphins because they had just lost they missed out on their opportunity to win their division to the Buffalo Bills in the last game of the regular season. And a lot of people started bringing up the numbers about how the Dolphins underperform in the big games and their offense isn't so scary against winning teams and all this stuff. And that's all I saw from Chiefs fans all week leading up to the game. But I'm like, guys, we could say the exact same things about the Kansas City Chiefs this year, about them not being able to score against good teams, about them having a losing record versus playoff teams and all that stuff. I mean, these two teams were pretty much identical. It's just that the Dolphins' strong side of the ball was their offense, while the Chiefs' strong side of the ball was their defense. And of course, the defense really stepped up in that game, and that's ultimately what carried them to victory, because the offense did look a lot better. They didn't really screw up, which is what we had been asking from them for a long time, was, limit the turnovers and that kind of thing. But they still struggled in the red zone quite a bit. But considering that it was like the fourth coldest NFL game ever, I thought they performed pretty well, a hell of a lot better than what we saw throughout the regular season. I don't know, Michael, just what are your thoughts about that game? What are some of your biggest takeaways from the Chiefs beating the Dolphins in Arrowhead last weekend?
I think one of my biggest takeaways is that we've always known that the Chiefs kind of sort of play differently in the playoffs, like they flip a switch. I think that was only confirmed by this game against the Dolphins.
Yeah.
Listen, Patrick Mahomes playing in that weather, throwing the ball as much as he did, threw the ball well. Rashee Rice is legit. If you didn't have that opinion before, I mean, he had 130 yards on like 8 or 9 catches. The dude is a dog, and he is probably the biggest X factor in the postseason for this team, because Kelsey had some problems with drops against the Dolphins. I think that's more of an issue of just the ball was so cold and so wet that catching it made it more difficult. The red zone problems still remain, but I'm not super worried. I think it's as long as they do a better job at punching it in, even just one more time, they'll be okay. And what have we been saying all year, Josh? The magic number for this Chiefs offense is 25. You score 25, you will win. And the Chiefs were able to do that. And this defense, man, this defense is good enough to take this team to the Super Bowl by itself. I mean, they are just a juggernaut defensively. You have 2 all-pro corners in L'Jarius Sneed and Trent McDuffie. I mean, L'Jarius Sneed wasn't all-pro. He should have been all-pro.
Yeah.
And your back end is just so good. I mean, George Karlaftis up front, too. He's been a menace in the postseason. Chris Jones has done his thing. I think this team is really starting to come together. And yeah, there still are some problems offensively, but the Chiefs are doing all of this without a number 1 wide receiver. And so, yeah, it doesn't look pretty at all times, but they're finding a way to get the job done. And going into Buffalo, I mean, the Buffalo Bills are a hot football team, but I think the Chiefs defense can kind of neutralize that based on what we saw from the Dolphins. And when your defense plays as well as the Chiefs defense does, your offense doesn't have to be that impressive to win. I didn't think the Chiefs offense was, amazing in that game against the Dolphins, but they looked a lot better than they did in the regular season. And I think you can kind of see that just based on the fact that they weren't turning the ball over. They weren't, making, dumb decisions. And I think that, yeah, the red zone stuff sucks, but they can improve on that. And going into Buffalo, they're going to need to be better.
They're definitely going to have to be better in the red zone. And if they can be, I think they can win that game. Against the Dolphins, too, I should point out that they did have a touchdown that got wiped off the board due to a Juwan Taylor block in the back. But I mentioned this when I made a video after that game, that if you go back and watch that play, Juwan Taylor got pushed in the back by a Miami Dolphins player, which caused him to fall into the back of Justin Houston, resulting in the block in the back call. It wasn't truly a block in the back from Juwan Taylor. And had that touchdown stood, I feel like a lot of fans feel a lot better about the offense's performance in that game. Because really, for the most part throughout that game, you were just waiting for that second touchdown. Because that pretty much that would have made you feel like the game was over. We were just waiting for the Chiefs to pull away. It just felt like from the beginning of the game that the Dolphins, even despite that touchdown from Tyreek Hill, that their offense wasn't going to have enough. The Chiefs defense was going to kind of carry the team in this game, and they did. But the offense, hey, can you get a couple more scores, couple more touchdowns. Like the field goals, like, okay, those will do, but we need that one touchdown to really put this game away. And then they finally found that last touchdown late in the game there to Rashee Rice. And he had a great, or I don't think it was Rashee Rice. I think it might have been Pacheco.
I think.
Yeah, Pacheco.
Yeah.
But I was going to say too about Rashee Rice. I mean, what a performance by him. A rookie in his first playoff game, a career high in receiving yards. He's really come on strong late in the postseason here. I'm really stoked about what we've seen from him because it makes me it opens another door for this Chiefs offense. It adds another element to this Chiefs offense that not a lot of people thought they had before, because you have a guy that can be that alpha wide receiver in a playoff game. And we just hadn't really seen it all year. We had seen flashes and sprinkles of big plays for Rashee Rice throughout his rookie season and the regular season, but nothing that, I mean, Rashee Rice deserves a ton of credit, for sure. I mean, he broke the rookie record for receiving yards for the Chiefs this year. He's been fantastic by all accounts. However, you could poke holes in his rookie season just a little bit because a lot of his production has come on some manufactured touches and yards after the catch stuff. His first reception of 20, like, we knew Rashee Rice had flashes. We'd seen them throughout the year, but we needed to see something that told us Rashee Rice can be the number one wide receiver for this football team. Like, that's his ceiling. The Miami Dolphins in this playoff game. What do you think, Michael?
You cut out a little bit. I just heard you talking about Rashee Rice. Could you repeat it again?
Just, throughout the season, we've seen a lot of flashes from him, but I'm not sure we quite saw anything that told us he had the ceiling of an alpha number one wide receiver, but I definitely feel like we saw that from him in this game versus the Miami Dolphins.
Oh, yeah. Rashee Rice absolutely proved to a lot of people that he is the guy. And honestly, Travis Kelce is the best tight end I've ever seen play the game of football. But going into this game against Buffalo, Rashee Rice is the X factor for this offense. He's just young. He's explosive. And I've never seen with Andy Reid as head coach a rookie do this. The amount of pressure that is on his shoulders to perform, and he still comes into a playoff game and drops a career high in yards and just looks fantastic from start to finish. That was huge for this team. That was huge for this offense. Mm-hmm. And if he can perform like that against this banged up Buffalo defense, man, it gives this team a legitimate shot to make a deep postseason run because you have rookies stepping up like that.
Yeah, he looked very mature, very poised in that game. He was catching just about everything thrown at him. And he was a warrior too, because he turned his ankle in the second half and still came back in the game and was producing for this team. Got a key first down for them not too long after that ankle injury. So really impressive performance by Rashee Rice. And also, you got to consider how cold it was again, because when you have any sort of injury, any sort of like sprained ankle or something like that, it feels 10 times worse than that cold weather. So props to Rashee Rice.
Yeah, absolutely. And he was the leader for this offense. It kind of felt like all year that we were waiting for somebody to step up and lead this offense. And we all thought it was going to be Travis Kelce, but we're seeing a rookie in Rashee Rice kind of stepping up, answering the call, and being that number one wide receiver that we needed. And what a perfect time to blossom, man. Like, this is the best time to really show who you are.
Right. The Chiefs are going to need that. They're going to need someone to step up again against the Bills. Let's get into this Bills game, because I think it's time to talk about that. It's time to preview this game. So the Chiefs and the Bills faced off, like you said, not even a month ago. Looking back, that game really determined a lot, because had the Bills lost that game, they're probably not in the playoffs right now. They probably would not have made it if they had lost that game to the Chiefs. The Bills have turned their season around since that game. That was kind of the first win for them that really sparked this running of the table late in the season and making the playoffs and winning their division. They had just fired their offensive coordinator earlier this year before that game. But since then, they've looked a lot better. However, there's still a lot of things to exploit with this Buffalo Bills team. We'll start with the Chiefs offense versus the Bills defense in this one, because obviously the last time these two teams faced, the Chiefs did not have Isaiah Pacheco in that game. And Isaiah Pacheco is just such a huge part of the Chiefs offense. And he also had a very good game against the Miami Dolphins. The Chiefs are going to have to be able to run the ball in this game, I think, because as great as Rashee Rice was, the wide receivers still are not the strength of this team. I don't think this team can just afford to drop back and throw it 40 times in this one. I think you're going to have to be able to run the ball and run the ball successfully. So Isaiah Pacheco being back is absolutely huge. They need a good game out of him. And they also need to limit the mistakes once again. That's really the theme for this team. Like, if they can just stop doing the stupid turnovers, I mean, they will probably win this game. We need to see it, consecutive weeks, because we never really saw it for consecutive weeks throughout the regular season. This team just was always turning the ball over. Even in that Bills game, Mahomes turned it over on like the first or second drive. And it's just stuff like that you can't do. And I don't know, Michael, I think we thought in the regular season that there was no flip to switch for this team, that there was no second gear. Like, this is just kind of who they are. They're a bad offense that is carried by their defense. But do you think there is a flip that's able to be switched? And are we seeing that with the limiting of turnovers? Because they didn't really turn over the ball against Miami at all. I know Clyde had a fumble like very late in the game, but it was pretty much over even before that. So I don't know, Michael, do you think the team is maybe flipping a switch here? Are they kind of maturing as the lights get brighter, or what do you make of it?
I think they're flipping a switch, but at the same time, we're not going to see this team come out tomorrow and drop 30 points. I think they've flipped the switch, and they'll probably still turn the ball over. It'll just be a lot less. And hopefully it's not a costly turnover at the wrong point in the game. The Chiefs lost that game to the Buffalo Bills, like we said, in the regular season, by a final score of 20-17. That game was really close, and they did not play well. Right now, the Chiefs are playing better football than they were playing at that time. And right now, I mean, Buffalo, yeah, they beat a Steelers team, but that game was kind of close. And do you trust Josh Allen against this defense? I guess let's go back to the Chiefs offense. I think the Chiefs offense, with the addition of Isaiah Pacheco in this game, he was not playing in the regular season, like you said. I think that really adds a layer to this offense that the Bills did not see back in the regular season. And that could be a really big turning point for this game. I remember when the Chiefs played in Buffalo, I think it was during COVID. We were expecting the Chiefs to throw the ball a lot, and I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire had over 100 yards rushing in that game.
Yeah, he
and
did.
We were like, what happened? And the Chiefs were able to win that game, and they won that game fairly easily. It's not going to be a Clyde game, but maybe the Chiefs come out, shock the world, and run the ball a lot more, and it sets up the passing game. The Buffalo Bills have a lot of injuries defensively. Hopefully the Chiefs offense can exploit that. The question for me is, do the Chiefs turn the ball over? And if they do, how do they respond? Because sometimes when the Chiefs have that one turnover, it turns into another one and another one. And it just compounds on top of each other. And that's when this team loses. If the Chiefs don't have a turnover tomorrow, they will win this football game. I'll guarantee it. Because right now, that has been the problem for this Chiefs offense. And I just don't think that Buffalo, with our defense, can put up enough points to beat this team if we don't turn the ball over.
Yeah, that's the other thing, is this Bills team is not a juggernaut. They had to scratch and claw to make the postseason. And let's be honest, that game against the Steelers almost crept back in and they almost came back in that one. That game was interesting there for a minute or two in the third quarter. So this Bills team, they aren't free of making mistakes either. Josh Allen, I believe, once again led the league in turnovers just by himself with all the interceptions and fumbles that he's committed. And also, I know we kind of started with the offense, but a stat that I really found was interesting was that Josh Allen has been sacked 5 times in like the last 2 games. And I think the Chiefs defensive line really can make an impact in this game because you got Chris Jones, George Karlaftis, Charles Omenihu, who has quietly had a really good season. He had 7 sacks in just 11 games this year. And he also was applying a lot of pressure in the Miami game. He didn't record a sack against the Dolphins, but he was getting into his face a couple times, I remember. And I think this defense is playing as well as ever. And the Bills' offensive line, I think, can definitely be exploited. Josh Allen, you can make him uncomfortable. I think, really, if you even go back and look at like the 13 seconds game from a couple years ago, Chiefs versus Bills in the divisional round, man, our defense was horrible in that game. Just so bad. Mike Hughes, Dan Sorensen, this defense has come a long way since then, and I think the Bills are going to have a long day against us. The Chiefs defense has not allowed a 300-yard passer this year, so I don't think Josh Allen's going to go out there and throw for 300 yards. I think this defense has an incredible opportunity here to shut down the Bills offense, especially since they're going to be missing Gabe Davis. And I know Gabe Davis has been a disappointing player for the Buffalo Bills this year, but he's always gone off against us. So the fact that he's not going to be there, the fact that he's not going to be there makes me feel better because he always goes off against us and you don't have to devote resources to stopping him. I know Stephon Diggs was limited at practice this week. I don't think he's going to be 100%. And the Chiefs typically do a good job of shutting down Stephon Diggs when these two teams play each other. And if he's going to be limited, then I don't really expect a huge impact from Stephon Diggs. Question is, can the Chiefs stop Khalil Shakir, Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox, all those guys? That's what you're going to have to look for. And then James Cook, the running back, because James Cook has really come on strong for them. I know in the Chiefs-Bills matchup in the regular season, James Cook had one of his best games of the year out of the backfield receiving the ball. But the Chiefs did not have Drew Tranquill in that game, who is their best coverage linebacker. And the Chiefs are going to have Drew Tranquill in this one. And they're going to have Nick Bolton fully healthy. Nick Bolton, he was in his first game since coming off IR the last time these two teams played. So you're going to have a fully healthy linebacker room. And I think that's going to make a huge difference as well. And the game could quite honestly be won with the linebackers, because if you can defend that middle of the field, I don't think this Bills team is going to, kill you with a bunch of deep balls. Not against these defensive backs, because I trust Trent McDuffie. I trust L'Jarius Sneed. Josh Allen, he's kind of a turnover machine. I don't think if the Bills win this game, it's going to be because they ran the ball well. It's going to be because they were able to kill you over the middle of the field. But I like our linebackers, so I feel really good about the Chiefs defense versus the Bills offense in this one, man. Again, go back to the 13 seconds game from a couple years ago. Our defense was so bad. If we just had a defense with a pulse, that game is a double-digit Chiefs win.
Yeah. Honestly, man, I have full confidence in this defense. I know that a lot of NFL fans just see the name Stephon Diggs and just think that he's going to go off against the Chiefs. He's never played well against the Chiefs. And I think that L'Jarius Sneed is shutting him down. Again, he's limited in practice, like you said. That does not bode well for him. And so Buffalo's offense doesn't scare me. The problem that I see is that I think the Chiefs defense is going to be so good at shutting down Josh Allen's weapons that they might not have a spy on Josh Allen. And that's when you get hurt, when he cracks off an 8 or 10 yard run on 3rd and 5 and it moves the chains and it keeps that offense on the field. That's the dangerous part. I don't know whether you have Nick Bolton or Willie Gay spy Josh Allen, but you're going to have to make sure that he can't get outside the pocket and run, because if that happens, it's going to be tough for this offense or this defense to get off the field. But yeah, I'm not really worried about the Chiefs defense in this game. They've been the constant all year long. I think that they will probably show up and show out. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Buffalo has, less points than they did last time, have fewer than 20. And if the Chiefs want to have any chance to win this game or any chance to win future games, you have to score more than 20 points. That's just, if you can't score more than 20 points in a playoff game, you don't deserve to win. So I have no problems with the Chiefs defense in this game. I think they'll be awesome. But can our offense capitalize on the stops the defense gives them? That's the question. And hopefully we get the right answer tomorrow. But man, I think it comes down to, can our offense score? If our offense scores, this game is over.
Yeah, and to shed a little more light on the Chiefs defense versus the Bills offense, I was reading this article from CBS Sports earlier. So this was actually put together by their staff, and it basically was just breaking down odds and stuff like that. But there was an excerpt from this article that I wanted to read that I think really provides some good insight on this matchup. So it says that the Chiefs finished the regular season second in points allowed, yards allowed, and sacks, while they also ranked in the top 10 in third down defense and red zone defense. That side of the ball is playing its very best entering Sunday's matchup, as KC has kept each of its last 6 opponents to 20 points or fewer. Allen was sacked 5 times over the last 2 weeks, despite facing Pittsburgh and Miami defenses, both without their best pass rushers. Allen also hasn't been his usual productive self recently, as he's had more TD passes than interceptions just once over his last 4 games. Those factors have CBS backing a healthy Chiefs defense versus an inconsistent Bills offense. And I also was listening to, it was Scott Van Pelt and Ryan Clark. They were on a panel after this Packers and 49ers game, or actually, no, that was, after the Ravens Texans game. And it was before the Packers Niners game. They were talking, and Ryan Clark was talking about which team would Baltimore rather face. And he said that they would probably rather face the Bills, because he thinks the Bills or the Ravens offense versus the Bills defense would be much easier than the Ravens offense versus the Chiefs defense. The Chiefs defense is really scary this year. And I mean, you look at the way, again, they played against Miami, and Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, those guys, I trust them against the Bills. The Bills do not scare me offensively. I think they're a very up and down offense. I don't think we should have any problem dealing with them, even on the road. And everyone's making a big deal of this being on the road and how this is Mahomes' first true road playoff game. Do people know throughout his career than he does at home? And I said it before, this team a lot of times plays better on the road than they do at home. I think sometimes they get kind of caught up in the feels playing at home sometimes, and it kind of causes them to start out slow. I'm not concerned at all about this game being played on the road. In fact, I think it'll be pretty motivating for this team.
Yeah, me too. And kind of going back to what you said, the Chiefs are still the big bad wolf in the AFC. I don't care that they're the 3 seed. Baltimore does not want any part of us. I guarantee you that the Bills weren't very happy that they got us. And so the Chiefs are still a force to be reckoned with in the AFC, even in a year where their offense has been so inconsistent. And the one thing, it sounds so just so bad, but this is how Patriots fans felt with Tom Brady. Like, they had Tom Brady and you didn't. And so we have Patrick Mahomes going into this playoff game. I think Patrick Mahomes is capable of doing a lot, even when he has nothing. And so, yeah, maybe I shouldn't be thinking like this, but I just have a weird feeling that in a game like this, where this team has a lot to prove, all the pressure's on Buffalo in this game, but Kansas City can still prove a lot by winning this football game. I think Patrick Mahomes is going to come out and have a spectacular game. I think he lives for these moments, and I trust Patrick Mahomes in these moments a lot more than I trust Josh Allen. And so I think that could be a big difference in this game. And when you pair that with a defense that has been electrifying all year long, not giving up more than 25 points. I don't think they gave up 25 points. Maybe they gave up 25 points once. But besides that, they've been really good at keeping teams under 20. And that is a recipe for success. And I just think that this offense, with Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs, will be good enough to get the job done. Like, I just have that faith, and I just think Patrick Mahomes is on a mission, man. Something about having 15 on this team, it allows you to go into every playoff game thinking you have a chance to win. And with the way this defense is playing, I'm fairly confident that they have a really good shot to win this football game.
Yeah, well, my confidence was kind of at a low point. Probably it was at its lowest. Probably on that Christmas Day Raiders game. Just like, hey, this team, they're not making a deep playoff run. They can't beat anybody with the Bulls. What have you seen from this team that makes you think that they're going to go to another Super Bowl? Since then, they've cleaned things up. The Bengals game was a really good sign for them in Week 17. The offense started moving the ball a lot better. Not as many terrible mistakes in that one. The Dolphins game was another step in the right direction. I don't know, Michael. Maybe this team is just kind of hitting their stride at the perfect time and figuring things out. Maybe not necessarily flipping the switch, but like they've done in the past whenever they get to the postseason, but maybe just, figuring things out, eliminating mistakes, just playing a bare minimum game on offense, just fundamentally sound football. That's all this team needs to do in order to win these games because their defense can hold it down. And I don't know, I'm starting to get vibes of kind of that last Tom Brady Patriots Super Bowl run when they beat us in the 2018 AFC Championship game, because entering that postseason, no one really was scared of the Patriots. That they kind of looked vulnerable. I mean, obviously it's Tom Brady, and you hate going up against him. But I think, and that's why a lot of Chiefs fans were confident going into that 2018 AFC Championship, was because, man, this Patriots team kind of sucks relative to Patriots teams of the past. Now, though our defense was awful, which is why we lost that AFC Championship game. Tom Brady got lucky that he ran into maybe the worst defense in our franchise's history, but that's besides the point. That team was not very good. I mean, look what they did in the Super Bowl. That was one of the worst offensive Super Bowls, Rams versus Patriots ever. And this kind of feels like that just a little bit, or even like the 2015 Denver Broncos with Peyton Manning when they beat the Carolina Panthers. That offense was not very good. I think if you look at the Chiefs point total from the season and compare it to the point total from the 2015 Denver Broncos offense, it's almost like identical. That offense wasn't very good, but that Broncos defense was so good, man, with Von Miller in his prime and all those guys that they were able to win a Super Bowl. It feels like that just a little bit, doesn't it, Michael, where it's like, okay, this offense kind of isn't that great, but you have a great quarterback. And if you don't make mistakes, then you feel pretty good.
Yeah, it feels a lot like that. And I think that, Mahomes is relying on that defense. He's never really been able to fully trust it, but this year he's fully trusted the defense. And I think that right now, man, this defense is kicking it up a notch as well, because I don't think anybody expected them to hold the Dolphins to under 10 points. Like that was something. And so I really want to see what they can do against Buffalo. But yeah, man, like the Chiefs aren't going to win any games that are pretty. But at the same time, I think they're going to be in every game till the end. And they're figuring stuff out offensively. They're not going to drop 35 points magically. But man, it just seems like if they can just keep doing what they did last week against the Dolphins, they could really surprise a lot of people, because right now, specifically in the AFC, there isn't a team that I'm like, the Chiefs can't beat that team. There's just no way the Chiefs can beat that team. I think the Chiefs can beat anybody. I mean, they can beat anybody. The question is going to be, can Patrick Mahomes truly be great in a game and limit the turnovers and the mistakes, and his receivers, just play mediocre football? And can the defense continue to play like the best defense in football?
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I just it's funny because a couple weeks ago I was like, no way this team makes a deep postseason run, but they really have a chance to do it right here because not only do I think the Chiefs have the Bills number, because the Bills have had kind of our number in the regular season, but when the games have mattered, the Chiefs really just have the advantage there. But the Bills are also beat up in this one too. I don't know if you've seen the injury report, but they're missing a lot of guys. Stephon Diggs went from limited participant to off the injury report completely during Friday practice. But it seems like he's probably not going to be 100%. Bill's starting linebacker, Balin Spector, is out Taylor Rapp is out, their third safety. Teron Johnson is questionable with a concussion. He's a starting cornerback for them. Gabe Davis is out. We already talked about that earlier. Terrell Bernard, who's one of their best players on defense, is questionable. But I don't know if you saw, he got carted off the field against Pittsburgh. Man, I'd be kind of surprised if he went. And even if he did, I feel like he's probably going to be pretty slow. And then Christian Benford is out, another one of their cornerbacks. So the Bills are beat up. The middle of their defense is also really hurting right now because they already lost Matt Milano for the season earlier on. They're on like their third string linebackers now. If the Chiefs can expose that at all, I mean, this could be another big Travis Kelce game or another big Rashee Rice game, because even against Miami with Rashee Rice, what they did was just run a bunch of clear routes, get Rashee Rice the ball in the middle of the field, and let him go to work after the catch. And it was a thing of beauty to watch. But man, the Chiefs offense against Bills defense that is this beat up, I'm feeling a lot more confident that they can put up points. And when I say put up points, I mean like maybe look like the Chiefs offense that we've been used to for so many years, where maybe they do put up 30 in this game.
I'll tell you what, man, if this offense starts gaining momentum, that is the last thing that anybody, whether you're in the AFC or the NFC, want to see. If this Chiefs team can get hot right now and the offense can start putting up points like they did last year, it's over. The Chiefs are going to steamroll teams. So don't let the Chiefs come out in this game tomorrow and drop 30 points, get confidence with their offense, and start picking up momentum. And, man, sometimes just going back to that Patriots team, stuff happened for them, even just the Patriots dynasty as a whole. Stuff happened for them, like just lucky breaks. Yeah. And the Chiefs are facing a banged-up Buffalo Bills defense with the best quarterback on the planet and a defense that has been a top 3 unit in the NFL this year. So if they can go out and perform like they should, man, they can advance to the AFC Championship game. And then you play the game, that the Chiefs and the Ravens, who can beat each other. Like, I think Mahomes is much better than Lamar Jackson in big games. Lamar Jackson still doesn't play very good in the playoffs. I don't care what that final score indicated against the Texans. Lamar didn't play that well. And so at a certain point, man, Mahomes is the buzzsaw. And if he can have, some of his offensive weapons step up like Rashee Rice did last week, this team might flip the switch, and it might be them getting hot at the perfect time.
Yeah. Or, again, just not turning the ball over. Like, that's really – I've said it like 1,000 times already, even just in this episode, but if you just play a clean football game, this team can make it to another Super Bowl, because the AFC – the Super Bowl is still wide open. It's wide open. Oh, yeah. There is no Joe Burrow standing in your way. Now, Josh Allen's a very good quarterback, and the Bills are still a good team, but I don't even think this is a very good Bills team. I think it's a decent Bills team, and one that again had to scratch and claw just to make, or get a spot in the postseason. I'll ask you this, Michael. Well, actually, you kind of answered it already, but I was going to ask which team is under more pressure in this game, but I think you already said the Bills are under more pressure. But you want to elaborate on why you think the Bills are under more pressure? Because I'm pretty sure I agree with you, but what's your rationale there?
The Bills are under more pressure because they've never beaten the Chiefs when it matters. It's kind of like when the Chiefs entered that AFC Championship game last year against the Bengals, where they've beaten them 3 times, 1 in the playoffs and 2 in the regular season. It just felt like, man, Patrick Mahomes, being as accomplished as he is, just can't beat the Cincinnati Bengals. And so all the pressure was on the Kansas City Chiefs last year. And right now, Patrick Mahomes is playing his first road playoff game at your house. You've never beaten him before, and you've complained that, we just haven't been at home. We haven't had home field advantage. This is your shot to put an end to all of the talk. Like you can literally end the narrative right now. And that's why the pressure's on Buffalo. But at the same time, man, all the pressure's on Buffalo to beat the team that they have never been able to beat. And I think there is absolutely no pressure on the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs won the Super Bowl last year. They're entering this game with a question mark at who's going to step up at wide receiver. And it kind of feels like the Chiefs are playing with house money. They won a playoff game at
Yes.
home. Like the Chiefs have nothing to prove. Honestly, they've kind of gotten farther than a lot of people thought they would. And for that reason alone, I think the Chiefs are entering this game and they have no pressure to win. Obviously, they're the team that everybody wants to beat, but I don't think the Chiefs are coming in with any pressure from the national media or any pressure from, our fan base. I think we're just happy to be here.
Well, the media disrespect is as loud as ever. I've seen some crazy stuff this week. There was like a quarterback ranking that I saw that had Mahomes as like the 7th best quarterback in the playoffs. I think that was from Colin Cowherd's show. Just ridiculous stuff. But I mean, we see that stuff every year. I've learned how to deal with that. My take though, so I really like what you said about this Chiefs team kind of playing with house money. A lot of, optimistic Chiefs fans throughout the regular season might say, how can you say they're playing with house money? Because they always expected this team to like flip some sort of postseason switch. But I was definitely at the point where it's like, I don't think the Chiefs have it this year. This just ain't their year. A Super Bowl run seems impossible with how bad this offense is. But and so therefore I kind of already accepted the fact that this season is not going to result in a Super Bowl. Therefore, them losing the playoffs, it's not going to make me upset, But they're playing with house money a little bit because it's like, hold on a second, this thing is kind of there for the taking for them. And it seems like there's a strong possibility of it happening. So it feels like the Chiefs, they don't really have much to prove. They've had a great 5-year run. They've been to 3 Super Bowls and won 2 of them. If they lose, okay, so what? You can't win it every single year. If they win this, it's just going to feel like gravy on top of everything. Now for the Bills, I agree. I think they're under more pressure, not just because they don't beat the Chiefs, but because if they don't beat the Chiefs this year, Michael, are they ever going to beat us? Because this feels like the worst Chiefs team we're probably going to see for a while. And if they can't beat them now, I mean, where's the hope if you're a Bills fan?
Yeah, like the Bills are famous for losing a lot of Super Bowls in a row, and they might become famous for losing the Chiefs a lot of years in a row. I
Yeah.
think, like, at a certain point, man, like, you just can't beat us. And I think that's kind of what, the Chiefs felt with Tom Brady. Like, we just can't beat Tom Brady. And you could beat him in the regular season, but you just couldn't beat him when it matters. And so Mahomes has become that target that everybody tries to beat, and so few are able to do it. And Josh Allen has never been successful. And so all of the pressure is on the Buffalo Bills. They're the higher seed. They're playing at home. They've never beaten the team. The Chiefs are coming into this game. They're probably going to be playing pretty loose. I mean, yeah, they want to win, and obviously they are trying to go as deep as they can because they have all the talent to win a Super Bowl. But at the same time, they know that they have not played their best football this year, and they're still playing in the divisional round, and they're one game away from playing in the AFC Championship game for the 6th year in a row. And so all of the pressure is on Buffalo. Buffalo has not been to the AFC Championship game since they came to Kansas City and got spanked a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So all of the pressure is on Buffalo to get back, and the Chiefs are playing, really good football right now. They're going into a stadium that, I mean, listen, Bills Mafia is great, but that stadium doesn't scare me. The weather doesn't scare me. We just played in negative 30 degrees. Why does Buffalo snow scare me? So, yeah, I feel really good about going into this game because the Chiefs have all the talent. They can stop turning the ball over. They're going to win this football game. And Josh Allen would be 0-3 against Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. And at a certain point, when do you start having questions about whether he could ever beat Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs?
And it's kind of crazy to think this game could determine a lot for the Bills going into the future, because it's like if they win this game, it'll feel like a relief. It'll feel like the monkey's off their back. It'll be a step in the right direction. But if they lose, I feel like there will be a lot of organizational changes for them. And it's just crazy how razor thin that line is. Just the results of this game.
Yeah, jobs could be on the line. I wouldn't be surprised if McDermott was out if they lost this game. He's already kind of been on the hot seat. There's been some weird stuff going on with Sean McDermott this year.
And when you start firing coordinators, because they fired Leslie Frazier last year, and they fired their offensive coordinator this year. Once you kind of start firing coordinators and then you still aren't good, that's when the head coach's job starts to come into question.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
man, the Chiefs are one win away from honestly switching the entire narrative on this team, because if we're back in the AFC Championship game, and it kind of scares me, but I think a lot of the public sentiment would be on this Chiefs team. I think they'd be like, man, this team, it's back. The Chiefs are just the juggernaut that never dies, kind of like the 49ers, how they're always seemingly in the championship game. Like, the Chiefs have kind of become that, and I do think that if they can beat Buffalo, the people up in Baltimore would be shitting their pants. They would not be very excited to see Patrick Mahomes come to their stadium. And we know Lamar's history against Patrick Mahomes. He's beaten him once. And I don't think that he wants anything to do with Patrick Mahomes.
yeah, I just think Mahomes isn't really phased by this matchup. He knows what to expect. He knows what he needs to do, and I think he can execute the game plan. Josh Allen, to me, I'm not saying that he's scared, but I don't know. Like, there definitely is that boogeyman vibe with him when it comes to facing the Kansas City Chiefs, and I don't know if he's going to be able to pull it out. I mean, that 13-second game may just have, snake bit him or something.
Yeah, I mean, there's just he's played well in the playoff games. He's just never played better than Patrick Mahomes. And, when the lights are the brightest, Patrick Mahomes is as advertised. He is that guy. He is the one that is so tough to beat. And I hate to pick a game purely based on which quarterback is better, but oftentimes it comes down to which quarterback
in
is
the playoffs. In the playoffs, that's usually how it goes. There's some exceptions, There's Nick Foles against the Patriots, in 2017 in the Super Bowl. There's times, but for the most part, it is the better quarterback typically comes out on top. That's usually how it goes.
Yeah, and I trust Patrick Mahomes over everybody. So it'll be very interesting to see how it goes. I'll say this right now: if the Chiefs score more than 25 points, this game's over and they've won. I don't even think that's a hot take. That's just what we've seen this year. And I hopefully I don't want to treat this game like we're overlooking Buffalo, because I'm not overlooking Buffalo. They could definitely beat us. Listen,
right.
The Chiefs can beat anybody, but they can also lose to anybody. But at the same time, if the Chiefs can use this game as a stepping stone where their offense gets in a rhythm like they were against the Miami Dolphins, and move the ball against a Buffalo Bills defense that is riddled with injuries, it's going to help this team build some offensive momentum. And momentum in the playoffs, man, it can carry teams all the way to the Super Bowl. And if this team can get that going into Baltimore, if they win this game, I think this team would be a very confident bunch. And I wouldn't want to play them if I'm a Ravens fan.
No, I wouldn't either, because I think this defense is one of the few that's capable of stopping that Ravens offense in this postseason. And again, man, the Chiefs, the offense, they don't have to do that much, but if they can just put together these 26-point game performances like they did against Miami, it's hard to see who they lose to.
Yeah, and if they do lose to anybody, that team's going to have to drop more than 25.
Yeah. And if the Chiefs lose, we're going to know why. I mean, the game plan is very simple. The recipe is very simple. But if they lose, we know we're going to know the reason why they lost. It's going to be because they made mistakes. The offense couldn't do enough. It really just comes down to that.
Quick question for you. Do you think Kadarius Toney touches the field at all during the playoffs?
Probably not. I just think, especially now and with how the offense is playing, and I think a lot of these guys like Sky Moore, I know he's already been ruled out for this game, just like Kadarius Toney. I just don't see the point in bringing him back this postseason. And this group of receivers you do have out there seems to be clicking. So I just don't want to mess it up,
Yeah, I think Kadarius Toney does more harm than he does good. And so I think
Yeah.
the Kadarius Toney experience is probably over. Love what he did in Super Bowl
At least
57.
this year.
Yeah, it's got to be done. You got to shelve it, especially because bringing him back. I mean, he's probably going to get a couple targets, and I don't like throwing the ball in his direction. I just don't. I think you lean on Isaiah Pacheco and Rashee Rice and Travis Kelce and maybe Mecole Hardman, but man, I like what they got going right now. All
Okay,
you need is a
so
couple offensive pieces.
McCall Hardman, I'm frustrated as hell with him, especially after the last game and how many catchable balls he just quit on. But and you can say the same about MVS too, but with McCall Hardman, the defense at least has to respect the fact that he can get behind you.
Yeah, and who knows, man? Maybe he does catch one of
Yeah,
those
I mean,
balls.
eventually he's got to catch one of them, right?
Yeah, yeah. It looked a lot more effortless last week against Miami than it did all season long. And I hope
Yeah,
that
for sure.
same effortlessness follows this team and that they can, throw the ball at will over the middle of the field and get big chunk yardage. Like Rashee Rice had a couple big time catches downfield that we had not seen all year long. And so I really do think that if they can do that against Buffalo, it's listen, man, they have all the talent. They have all of the intangibles. I think they probably will beat Buffalo. They could still lose, but I would put my money on Kansas City.
Yeah, man, I completely agree with you. So I think with all that being said, we can get to our score predictions now. So, Michael, I'll ask you, what's your prediction for this game? What's the final score?
I'm going to go 24-17 Chiefs win. I don't think the Chiefs get to 26 like they did last week. I think they will probably go up like 17-7. And then in the fourth quarter, Buffalo may score to make it like 17-14. And then the Chiefs get a late touchdown to, really put that game at bay. But I think the Chiefs win. I think we hold the Buffalo Bills to under 20 points. And the Chiefs will go to their, sixth consecutive AFC championship game?
Yeah, it'll be their sixth consecutive.
That is insane. That is unreal.
I don't know, Michael, if you can see this right now. Oh, I'm out of focus with my camera. Oh, am I? It was like out of focus, but now I think I'm getting it to focus. I don't know. Okay, I think we're good. Anyway, yeah, so my score prediction for this game, I'm going to go Chiefs 27, Bills 20. I think it's another close one. I think it's always close between these two teams, but the Chiefs just kind of do the little things and they take advantage of the opportunity in this game. I don't think the Chiefs go crazy and score a bunch of points, but I do think they score 27 and they keep the Bills to just 20 points. I think the Bills, again, will keep it close, especially with the game being in Buffalo. I don't think the Chiefs will be fazed by the fact that the game is in Buffalo. Everyone's making a big deal about it, but Mahomes' record on the road doesn't indicate he'll struggle at all. I think this matchup just looks a lot different than it did in the regular season because you have Pacheco and Tranquil back. Those are just two huge pieces that you didn't have last time. Yeah, man, give me the Chiefs.
I think you got to pick the Chiefs. Like I think they're the team to pick, and a lot of people don't think they're capable of doing this. But I'm just gonna say this right now, man. They're capable of winning this game and shocking a lot of people in the AFC and just around the NFL community. I think the Chiefs are going to win this football game. They can definitely lose it, but I really do think they're going to win.
Yeah, I mean, I'm nervous as hell for the game. I'm confident, though. I'm cautiously optimistic, I guess you could say. I'm just ready for the game to be over. I'm ready to just get there and see it go down. But, Michael, we'll have to talk about it. Probably do a post game tomorrow night after because I have a feeling this is going to be another crazy one.
Absolutely, man. This is hopefully going to be talking about a Chiefs win, but even if they don't find a way to win it, we'll definitely have a lot to talk about and talk about the future of this team.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, regardless of the results, man, it'll be fun to talk about, and I think with either result, there will be a lot to talk about. So we'll go ahead and wrap it up there, guys. Those are our predictions for this game. But before we wrap it up, Michael, Why don't you go ahead and let the people know where they can find you?
You guys can find me on YouTube at KC Sports Report, on Instagram and Twitter at the Michael D'Arcy. Go check out my stuff on Bleacher Report on the Bleacher Report mobile app. My username is Michael_D'Arcy. And yeah, definitely subscribe to Josh's channel. If you're here, why have you not subscribed already?
Yeah,
I'm sure he'll tell you where else you can find his stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you're already here. Go ahead and subscribe. You can check out my work on showmefootball.com and arrowheadaddict.com for more Chiefs content. But yeah, that's it, guys. Go ahead, subscribe, comment, leave your thoughts below. Appreciate you all. But we'll see you in the next one, and we'll see you on the other side of this Chiefs-Bills divisional game. Go Chiefs.